stop and step back. Stop thinking about what everyone else is going to think, because they're going to do and say whatever they want. This is your life, and you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. Be gentler. Be kinder to yourself. We're so quick to just be so negative and tear ourselves apart, looking in the mirror, emotionally, whatever. Like, encourage yourself.
You are now tuning in to the Relentless Project. Real people, real stories, real life.
I appreciate you for coming on. It's been kind of tough getting you on here. You know, that storm. I literally pulled up, and the door, like, there's no light on the door, and I'm like, no. The city didn't get power. Everywhere else got power, and so I was like, dang. And then, yeah, today, Saturday, which works for me because there's no traffic. This is the one with Jillian Scacchi. I'm not gonna mess it up.
That's right.
And the first thing I like to do is kind of get to know someone. You know, I want the listeners to be like, oh, who is this? Why is she here? Why should we listen to her? No, I'm kidding. And we've kind of crossed paths digitally, social media, thankfully. Good thing. But and then I started talking to Faith, and she's like, she's someone you have to have on, her story, her perseverance, her relentlessness, which if you use that, I have to put you on because it's the name of the show, right? But you have a really cool story, and you're in the fitness world. You're an author. What else do you? If someone asks, who are you? What do you do? Like, what's your about me? If you can.
Oh, that's a big one.
There's no wrong answer.
I am someone who, I'm a giver. So all my life, I mean, I'm one of 4. I'm one of 5. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot my other sister.
We won't say.
We won't say
name,
which one.
Faith.
Never. And I'm such a giver. So I think it's super ironic that I'm on this podcast the day before Mother's Day because of what my book is about and what I've done in terms of giving up. Well, I shouldn't. Oh my God, I just fucked it up.
No, there's no fucking up. I promise there's no fucking up. Because, like, here's what I tell people. Like, especially when people, I get some sensitivities, but, like, there's a lot of people going through or have gone through similar situations, and maybe they, you know, are feeling certain ways, and then they listen to you and they're like, wow, like, I never looked at it that way, or man, that really opened up my eyes, or, you know, so, like, this, and I tell people, this podcast is not for everybody. Every episode, each guest is different. I have MMA fighters, business owners, boxers, authors. Like, each episode is curated for a specific type of people. You know, like someone who's gonna want to, who needs to listen to your story, want to listen to your story. That's what it's for. So there's, other than you blurting out some like confidential stuff that's gonna get you sued or something that may get you canceled.
Definitely not.
You're fine. So, yeah, day before Mother's Day, and I'll be honest, I battled with, like, do I release this on Mother's Day? Do I not release this on Mother's Day? You know, because I've never really spoken to you, and I don't know, you know, so, but it's the authenticity. Like, I be real, be raw. I was like, you know what? I can't edit in 10 hours because I would have had to edit it all day today, so it's released tomorrow. So I was like, oh, it works out.
Very true.
But, so one of 5.
One of 5.
Italian family.
Big
so
Italian family.
that makes sense.
Loud.
The giving part.
Yep. I'm the middle child, so you know what they say, the middle child holds the whole family together. And you know,
Or
I've
the
been
middle
doing that my
child
whole
gets
life.
ignored.
That too.
You get away with a lot of things as a
But
middle
I
child.
was loud enough to not be ignored. Like all my sisters. Back in the day, I will admit, I was an antagonizer.
No.
And so it was an attention thing. Like I was like, I need attention. I'm going to go mess with Faith. I did pick on Faith a little bit.
Well,
She was the one right below me, so it was like she wanted to be my best friend.
You're older than Faith?
I am, yeah.
Oh, she is so, like, not to say anything,
Mature.
but she is so mature.
Yeah. She is.
Jeez, I didn't know that. She's like mama figure. I guess
is.
that runs in the family. Because the stuff she says about you, the stuff you say about her, like, do you think that comes from like your Italian roots?
I don't know. I think it comes from, we all been through so much together, like, and all of our bonds are so different, but just as strong. And Faith is, I look up to her more than like probably she will ever know, even though she's my little sister. I know. So, I don't know. We've just been there for each other. And there's like a saying where it's, your sibling bond is the strongest bond ever because your partner comes too late and your parents leave too soon. And like you literally go through everything with your sibling. And I mean, I don't know what I would do without them, all of them. But Faith is she's definitely a mother figure.
She is. And that's a good point. Like, I don't know if you believe in like the half brother, half sister thing. I always call it like my brother, but growing up, we grew up very tight, me, my brother, and my sister. And then my mom starts all over with two little ones. And I like think about it, I'm like, man, they didn't grow up like we grew up. Like they didn't have, like, we were so bonded. We all did things together. We all hung out. We covered for each other. My brother beat people up for me.
It's his job.
Yeah, it is. And well, he made it his job, but it's just crazy to see like the different, like how when you're close in age and close in upbringing, and then like this is my little brother, my little sister, right? They're 18 and 15 now. I'm 32. It's like a whole generation after. Like we're siblings, but we're not close. Like I see them, I'm like a uncle, I feel like. But we're siblings.
Right.
But when you grow up so close, it's like it's just crazy to me. So you guys grew up very close-knit, tight family.
We did, yes.
You came from Cleveland.
I did, yes.
Now
East
you're in
of Cleveland,
Pittsburgh.
so I am. Yeah, it was a big deal. One of the rules when I first moved here, 12 years ago, I was not allowed to become a Steeler fan.
I think that's a good rule.
Said, yeah.
That's a good rule.
He said, you can move there, but you cannot be a Steeler fan.
I think it's a Stiller fan, they call it here.
Yeah,
a Stiller fan. Down there.
That is correct. So, yep, I am a Browns fan. Yikes.
Well, they're like all right now, actually.
Yeah, they might actually
They've turned around. And the Stillers are still slacking. But I'm a Falcons fan, so
Okay. So.
Yeah, I'd like to go to games and do the whole Stiller thing because
it's
I'm
fun.
here, it's close, it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
But if I had to pick a winner, this is going to get me canceled. Probably not picking the Steelers.
Fair.
But that's all right. There you go. I laid on my sword. I accept the consequences, whatever comes with it. What was the deciding factor to move from, a mid-sized to big city to another mid-sized city?
So I wanted to get out of Ohio. It was always the plan before I went through everything that I went through. And then after that, I was like, I want to leave. So I ended up attending a nanny school. It's called the English Nanny and Governess School. And
so
it was
official.
It was run by some little English lady, and her and her son ran it. And you took all types of classes like nutrition, child development, literature, basically everything around what it would take to be like a full-time nanny, like that would travel with families and take care of their kids. And so it was kind of like a way, like I obviously love children, and I had a little void in my heart that I needed to fill. So I was like, this is it, because you can move anywhere. I interviewed with a family in Dubai, Arizona, North Carolina. Like, I chose Pittsburgh.
No, I didn't even know there was like a thing of like, I guess that makes sense. You're in charge of like a family, a kid. Mm-hmm. So like to be a school, that would make sense. I never thought of it that way.
Yep. And then, so they place you, and they do all like the negotiating for you and the interviewing and the flying out. And it was a really great experience. I had a lot of fun interviewing, like traveling all over and, just getting out of Ohio.
Yeah, that's cool.
And I ended up I didn't plan on choosing Pittsburgh, actually. I came here for an interview. My dad drove me, which was a story in itself. And
we like stories here.
I interviewed with the family, and I don't know, it just like felt right. Like it felt like, I think walking into it, I was like, oh, I'm just interviewing for the experience. And then walking out of it, I was like, this is the family. Like, I already know. And they called me on Monday and made me an offer. And I was like, yeah. So a week later, I moved.
So you move cities, states, and you essentially move families because you're like now a part of this. I don't know if that's weird, but like that's the way my mind works differently. So now, like, how was that experience for you? Were you nervous? Were you scared? Were you like all in? Like,
I was nervous. I was 19. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was
a
young.
Kid.
I was young. That was my college. Like, I didn't go to college, so that's what was my experience, was the nanny school, and I lived at home while I went there, so it wasn't like I was away. It was my first time. Like, I moved here it was a Sunday, and I'll never forget how I felt the night I was alone in my apartment for the first time. Like, it was sad.
Yeah, alone.
I was so depressed and like it was sad. And coming from, I lived with all my sisters my whole life, so it was like just creaky silence. And this is so silly, but there's like a Taylor Swift song where she sings about it, like when she was alone for the first time. And
I don't even know the song.
I think I listened to that song because I can't even remember the name of it. I just remember the lyrics. And it was sad. So I ended up getting a kitten because I was like, I need some type of life in here. And at the time, I was in a long distance relationship because I had a boyfriend in Ohio when I moved here. And so I think the first year of living in Pittsburgh, I basically worked during the week and then went home every weekend because I was like I don't want to be here alone.
Yeah.
And occasionally my boyfriend would come, but I was mostly going home because I wanted to see my family. I wanted to see my friends. Like, I wasn't sure I was like enjoying Pittsburgh, but with that being said, I wasn't really giving it a chance, So after a year of back and forth, and I ended up breaking up with that guy, it was time for me to like make a life here. And I was like, all right, I need to, like, a year has gone by and I have barely done anything. All I've done is work, and I'm not even like giving this place a chance. So I did. I gave it a chance.
Glad you did. That's why we're here.
Right. I joined a gym. That's when I really got into like the idea of teaching cycling classes, because that was kind of like my entryway into the industry. Like, I knew I always wanted to teach cycling. It was anytime I was in a class, I was like, if you can imagine yourself up there, I'm like saying this now, like, you should be up there. Like, I always see myself up there. I'd be in the car, like, thinking about a song, and I'm like, oh, I could do this to, like, it was meant to be. So that was kind of my segue into it. And then everybody there was like, you need to teach. So I went and got a certification. That was kind of like how I started in the industry. It wasn't anything crazy. It was
it's been
like
a while. You've been doing it 2014?
10 years. 10 years, yeah.
I did my research.
Yeah.
You also helped me a lot. Thank you. So you just like, hey, this is something I want to try. And then it became an obsession. And then you started teaching it. I'll tell you what about cycling. I mean, I hate running. I hate any cardio related anything. But I love the gym. I love fitness. I love pushing myself. I did a cycle class like out in Cranberry. I was like, oh, I'll give it a try. One of my friends was like, hey, my wife's teaching the class. You should come. And I'm like, I'll give it a shot. Like, it's cycling, dude. Dude, I tell you what. I like went in the back because obviously I'm like, I don't want people to see me. It's all women. And I'm like, I'll admit it. I'm like, oh, this can't be too bad. When I tell you, they're like, increase the intensity, stand up. They're killing it. And I'm like, my legs feel like someone put a torch to them. I can't breathe. I'm sweating. I'm dying in the back. His wife's like looking over and calling me out.
Of course.
I'm like, oh, no, I got you. Give me a second. Then I'm like, this is a whole different type of workout. It's a whole different type of experience. And by the end of it, I left my soul there. I'm still looking for it. So I'm trying to get it back.
It's very different.
What keeps you going in the cycling thing? Like what's the thing that gets you? If you had to sell someone to try cycling, what would you tell them?
I'm not a saleswoman. I could never ever
Do it
be.
Or don't.
This is it. This is my thing. The cycling is like, it's rewarding for me when I have a client come to me and tell me like, hey, like, I really needed that. Like, that is what keeps me going, really, is the clients. I don't do it. Obviously, I would miss it, and I enjoy doing it, but it's not even something that I do for myself. It comes with I'm always been a giver, and like the fact that I'm giving people things that they come to me and then I get like a text later, or I mean, I've had people cry to me after a class because that's just exactly what they needed.
I almost cried too. I mean, it's a different type of cry, right. But no, it's crazy how fitness. I just spoke with Dom Carter. He's like probably one of the smartest people I've ever spoken to. No offense. He was just
it's okay.
Dual major. He's like talking. He's saying words that I'm like pretending to understand, and I'm like, yeah, I did the physiological. But he talked about how resilience is built through physicalness first, because through that, then you build your mind. Mm-hmm. He said it obviously way better than I just did, but like fitness is like one of the best ways, whatever that is, cycling, gym, like fitness has been shown to be one of the best ways to build your resilience, build your mind, build your discipline, build your mental health. Like, and it's crazy. Like he explained it in a way where I was like, oh, that makes sense, like scientifically. But we've known this for ages. You work out, you feel better, you look better, you start making better decisions. And you're in that process of helping people do that, whether they know that's the end goal or not. Then maybe they're coming for a cycle class to have better heart health.
Right.
And then you have a client for 5 years. And
that goes with after I had given my son up for adoption, I was not well, like I was young, I was 18, and I was just like, I was numb. And all I knew was like, I needed to figure out how to get back to like feeling better. And I would go out and I would just run. Like I would run. And I wrote this in my book. I ran in like blizzards just for miles. I didn't even care how I was getting home. And that was kind of like, it made me feel some type of way that I didn't even know what was happening. It was just making me feel better. So I just kept doing it. I'm not saying this is healthy. You shouldn't go out and run for miles.
Especially in the blizzard.
Right.
Well, you mentioned, like, I'd like to go over that if you don't mind. Like, so Jillian wrote a book, Fearless, which I started to read, and I'm like, oh, this is going to be, like, this is something I have to sit down. And normally I like to read, like, stuff like this, like true people stories, because I feel you can learn from people. But a lot of the books, like a lot of like the motivation books, I'll read as like I'm doing stuff and kind of. And this one I sat down, I was like, this is something I have to like intentionally read and like pay attention to. I started taking notes. I know you broke your ankle in dance. You didn't even bring that up, and it stopped you from dance. So like I've started learning a lot about you, and I was like, man, like this is a good read. Having the courage it takes to stand face to face with your fear, which I think the lessons of this book can be applied to a lot of things that people go through in life. And that's why I like having these conversations, because your story is very unique to you. But if people listen with good intention, and you can apply this, like how you felt, why you made the decisions you made, to their personal lives and hopefully help people. So what was the premise of writing this book before the book came out? Like what's the story? What's your story?
Well, I always knew I wanted to write a book or write something about what I went through, because when I went through it, I just needed something, and there really wasn't much out there. I mean, that was years ago. Now it's a little bit different. And I published in 2022. So even then there was stuff, but it was important to me for me to share my story. And I had the motivation to do it when actually COVID was happening, because everything was shut down. And even I wasn't working that much. And it was kind of just like an aha moment where I was like, damn, like time goes by, and like, I said I was going to do this, so I sat down I remember this, it was when Bakery Square had that outdoor seating, and they like had just built it or something, and I sat there for hours every day and just like word vomited everything that I had like from where I wanted to start it and where I wanted it to essentially end. And I was just like, okay, I knew a guy who helped people publish books. And so I sent it to him and he was like, this is like really good. I'm going to connect you with my editor. And it kind of like just went in that direction naturally. And I was like, holy shit, this is happening. Like, here I go.
Yeah.
And so then she was critiquing it and sending it back to me and telling me what to, help me edit it essentially. And there's so much that I had down that was taken out because it was just like, I just vomited on a piece of paper.
That's almost like the best way to do it. No, look, you give everything and then you have someone outside, because like, and that's the thing, like with writing a book, I don't know anything about writing a book.
I didn't either.
But well, now you do. But it's like we want to tell a story. We want to share something, right? Even with the podcast, I have a image in mind or a goal in mind. Like I want people to listen to your story, right? I present it in a certain way, and then I have a friend of mine, Nick, who does a lot of marketing, helps me, and he's like, "Hey, like you should do this. You should try this," and I'm like, "Oh man, like." You didn't like my idea? Like, what's wrong with my idea? Like, so like, I'm like, but I have like, this is the goal I have. And he's like, yeah, but this is probably the best way to go about it. Like, were you dealing with a lot of that where you're like, this is where the direction I want to go? And they're like, but the people who you wanted to receive it, this is how they're going to best receive it.
Yeah. So there were some parts where I wouldn't go super deep. Like I would just graze the surface and she'd be like, you need to dig into this right here. Like there needs to be more. Like you can't just give them that. And so for me, I'm a very private person.
Same.
And I'm a little bit closed off. And not like I give people enough where they feel like I'm opening up to them.
No,
yeah.
I'm the same.
But this is not to be like, I'm not victimizing myself at all, but like I have had so many friends that I thought were my best friends and like they're just gone. So it's like I'm not good at opening up.
I get it. It's not victimized. It's truth. I grew up with people that I don't know if I can say this because of my job, but quote unquote metaphorically that I would kill for, right? And then the irony is some have tried my life because of things disagreements we've had, so I totally understand. I'm very private, a lot dealing with the job I do. And people are like, well, how are you on social media? Well, I hate social media, one. So like I post like the podcast stuff and stuff to give people enough, like hopefully that they follow the show and people's stories. But like, I don't like talking about myself. Like I wanted the podcast to not even have me in it. It'd just be the person. And people are like, well, people like want to connect with you in the podcast. So I get it. And it's not about being victimized. It's I got told this is childhood trauma, but you give something to someone, now they have it and they can do whatever they want with it. And it's scary. It puts you in a vulnerable spot.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do with that I trusted you with, So I get it.
Something I went through actually after I published the book, not to like fast forward, but when I released that book, I was like, it was a whole nother level of like, holy shit, everybody knows. Cause like I wasn't going around sharing my story unless it just organically happened, So just like that feeling of knowing, like the day of my book launch party, like I was going through all types of emotions. Like
I can't even imagine.
I feel like I blacked out a little bit. I couldn't even speak. Like I went to give a speech and I honestly couldn't even speak. Like, I was just like, but it's a part, it was writing this book was like, if it does anything, it brought me more healing, So like even just writing, and there's so many, the mind is so powerful and like it will black things out that you went through in terms of trauma to protect you. And me just digging deeper because my editor told me I needed to, like that brought me healing. Like I needed that, And the book is obviously around my adoption story as a birth mother, but it has helped so many other people. Like you don't have to go through adoption to read it. I've gotten like random messages because people, I do have some really great people in my life, and they have handed my book out to people I don't even know. And I've gotten some messages like, wow, I've literally been in a codependent relationship for 8 years, and your book made me end it. Like stuff like that. Like she had nothing to do with adoption, but she was touched by, I mean, I turned it into a self-help book. So every chapter is essentially like a healing moment.
Oh, that's good. That's
of 12 chapters. And it was like my journey. And then hopefully it relates to something somebody else is going through in terms of depression, sadness, literally anything that any type of trauma. Like it can speak to you in any way that you need it to. So that was the goal for the book. And I've gotten some really good feedback from it so far. So
I think it's cool, having it's cool. I mean, it hit me when you were like, and then as you're writing it, you have to like dig deeper and face this again. Having the courage it takes to stand face to face with your fear, right? That's the goal of the book. As you're writing the book, you're having to do that every time you're reliving that experience or those emotions, those feelings. Like as you're writing the book, you're doing the thing you're trying to hopefully help other people with, which I just thought of as you're doing that. And it's just stuff like that. I don't know if you've thought that deep into it. I do. I'm very weird. And I just took Bullseye, which makes you start
Deep
seeing.
thought.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm crazy. But yeah, you're facing these fears and like you're face to face with it as you're writing it. And me, if someone told me to write a book about my life, one, there's no way I could because of a lot of other issues. But I'm like, oh, by the way, the statute of limitations for that is not over. I'm like, oh, that was a fib. I lied. No, I'm kidding. But to sit there and talk about yourself, and not only yourself, but the hard things, right? Because all the times we see the books of people like, this is what I'm doing. Let's motivate. I ran 100 miles. This is how you can run 100 miles. This is, it's cool and it's motivating, but like to sit there and talk about all the ugly, what the world sees as like, wow, like you're talking about that when it's not, because it's your story, and that's the shit I like to read, because I'm like, look, she can go through that. I'm going through something. I can do it too. Like
right.
To see someone else go through it, you're not alone, and you're creating a community around your book. I've seen like all the most of the reviews and stuff, and I think it's a good thing, and I hope it freaking keeps taking off. I don't know how it's doing. I just hope it keeps going.
Well, the book is not. It doesn't mean that I'm. I wrote a book. I shared my story. It doesn't mean that I feel like I have all my shit together. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, I'm still going, like healing is never ending, which I think is really goes hand in hand with the fitness industry, where it's like, that's something that I love so much about it, is there's no end to it. You can always reach another goal. You can always like set another standard. There's no end ever. And that's kind of like what healing is. It's not like you reach this point where you're healed and you're good. Like,
yeah, done.
It's
done
a daily
healing.
thing. Like it's a daily effort. And fearless is such a, I actually was like, this title is like such BS. Like nobody's fearless, but
Imposter syndrome.
But it's just about facing your fears, which is uncomfortableness. It's not like, oh, I'm scared of that closet. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm afraid to be uncomfortable and be vulnerable, and I'm doing it right now,
Well, fearless isn't the lack of fear. I just feel like it's being able to not let it dictate what you're doing.
Right.
Right? Like jumping out of airplanes, those people are fearless. Well, I've jumped out of airplanes. I was very riddled with fear. I was like, hey, I'm going to do this and it's going to be awesome, or I'm going to do this and it's not going to matter after because, something happened. But not to get dark, but it's like, that's kind of where I put myself in that moment, hoping and praying like, hey, it's going to be a fun time. I'm going to land. I'm going to do it again. But yeah, it's like, what is fear? Fear is something we kind of put on ourselves. A lot of fear is from within. What are people going to think? What are people going to... And meanwhile, people are looking at you like, oh, dude, Jillian's awesome. She's cool. She's got it all together, right? You know how many messages I get? Like, man, actually, a very good close friend of mine, we were having a conversation months ago, and he's like, man, like, dude, I don't know how you do it. Like, you get up every day at 4 a.m., you attack the day. And I'm like, that is not what I do. I said, I do get up at 4. I am miserable. I am tired. I'm arguing with myself. I'm like, dude, if I skip the gym, I'm going to be so upset with I have to do it. I'm like, I'm not waking up and the lights go on and music's basing and I'm like, today's the day. That's not what's happening. But it's crazy how there's this perceived look on someone. You know, you release the book, it's like, oh man, she's got it. I'm like, no, we're all working through it together at the same time. We're all trying to figure it out. This is just my way of like going through my thing. This is my way, this podcast, of going through my thing. Mm-hmm. I talk to people. I learn from people. I try to apply it to my personal life. I'm always trying to learn new things. Like, I'm selfish in this podcast. Like, yes, I love hearing stories, but I love applying these stories to my personal life and sharing them with my close friends and family. And it's like, you know, I mean, oftentimes I'll have conversations with people and I'm like, man, you should have been there. Like, we spoke about this, and like, you can never relay the information the same as you got it.
Right.
You know, so like the cheat way is set up cameras and a microphone and you gotta hear that conversation. Go check it out. It's online. You know, your story. You gotta hear a story, read her book. You know, so what was the inspiration of the book? Oof. Yeah, we're gonna get a little deep.
The inspiration, I always say, I wanted to share and write something that would have helped my 17-year-old self. So I guess you could say it's targeted for a younger crowd in terms of why I wrote it. But just sharing my story is like, birth moms are never really shared. So it's a lot of the adoptive parents, the adoptees. Like there's movies, there's, you know, like it's just a popular topic because there's infertility, like, and then they share these success stories of adoptive parents. And in my book, I wanted to make it full circle. So I interviewed birth mothers, I interviewed adoptees, and I interviewed adoptive parents. And I share like their perspective throughout my book, just kind of including birth mothers because I went through it so bad. Like I didn't know if what I was feeling was normal. I didn't know if I should be feeling the things I was feeling, like. And a lot of that comes from, you know, every birth mother's story is different. My story is different than the next. And, you know, it's just I wanted to share my perspective, my story, and hopefully encourage other people to share it or make them feel like what they're feeling is normal, you know, like pre and postnatal feelings in terms of women, like that stuff I was going through postpartum depression and I didn't even know, you know? And I mean, my mother is wonderful, but she didn't really like give me a heads up, you know? Like, I feel like there was a lot of resentment towards her. Hopefully she doesn't watch this. I'm just kidding.
If mom's watching this, I've definitely expanded my reach. What were those feelings you were feeling? I don't talk about it often, but I had a kid at an early age as well, 17, 18. And it was the scariest thing in my life. Like, I've been through a lot of things, but I'm like, dude, I'm in charge of a human life, you know, and 1,000 feelings went through my mind, you know, and ultimately, you know, I made the decision. I was like, I have to do this or my life is going to go very different because I was not on a good path. So I took it upon myself to like double down on like, I have to try, but I understand it's not that it looks different for everyone. You know, there's like, and like I try to stress this so much because it's such a sensitive topic. So the last thing I want to do is offend someone. I want someone to listen and try to understand and you know, open the conversation. One thing I like to do with people, if you disagree with me, write me. Let's have a conversation. Help me learn, right? Like that's why we're doing
Come on
this.
my podcast.
Yeah, or come. I've invited people on who like they'll message me like arguing, but I'm not gonna argue with you. I hate arguing. Like, you want to have a conversation? Let's get on a podcast. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Like, I have no ego. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I learned something, so I win anyway. Like,
Right.
I win. I learned something.
You leveled up.
That's how I feel. People were trying to. One thing was the definition of course it's slipping me. Come on, Bullseye. What's going on? Will you do the same thing over and over again, expect different results? What's that word? I speak 2 languages. Insanity. Like,
Right.
I had a guest come on here and say the definition of insanity. This dude commented on it. Oh, you're so dumb. That's not the definition. I'm like,
Oh my God.
wow, like
People just love to
hour and a half conversation. That's what you took from it?
internet trolls.
I'm not even interested. But that being said, like, lost my train of thought. I have ADHD, so everyone's story is different, right? So how was that feeling that you had? You know, you find out you're pregnant, you're young. I'm sorry,
I felt like
this
my
is
life
too
was
deep.
over.
Right? Like, okay.
I felt like my life was over and I would have no friends ever. And honestly, I lost all my friends anyway. So it was like, I think I have one friend that is still good from Ohio. Like one. And which is fine.
I mean,
She's
life,
great.
we all change, we all grow.
Shout out Susanna.
Susanna, there's a song. And Susanna.
But I felt like I really did. I was done, you know? And to be honest, I don't think, well, my sisters, they were there for me, obviously.
Yeah.
Another reason why we're so close, like going through something like that with them has been like, it definitely bonded us in a type of way that no other situation could. But I don't know. I was very scared. I felt like my life was over. I didn't know I didn't like the guy that I was kind of seeing. Like, I didn't really like him. Like, to rewind a little bit, I was a dancer. I write it in my book. I share it. I wasn't able to dance anymore. I filled a void with a relationship that was, growing up, we bought our own things. Like, growing up, at the age of like 14, I was babysitting to like buy tampons. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I had always been providing for myself, and you know, my parents provided for me as much as they could, but we just didn't have like money. Like, growing up, like, we just didn't have money. They had 5 kids, 5 girls, which girls are expensive as hell. Yeah, you know. So expensive.
Jeez.
Like, being a girl, I literally was getting things last night, and I said to my boyfriend, I was like, "This is good thing you're not a girl."
Just a girl. I'm just a girl.
I am. I'm just a girl spending millions of dollars on things that I need.
I love when I hear that quote. I'm just a girl. You know what that means? That means a lot. Don't dumb it down. That means a lot.
It does mean
There's
a lot.
no just a girl.
So I had dance. It was my love. You know, was doing it ever since I was a little girl. I had big plans to go to a big city and dance, whatever. Anyways, it was taken away from me. I was a little lost without it. And I had this guy who liked me, I guess I'll say. I don't know. I don't know what his end game was really to this day. To get me pregnant, but maybe. Hey. But this is real, right?
Hey,
so
I'm all about it. Like,
I mean, So he bought me things, and I had to buy my own things, you know? So it was like, he was giving me things. It was making me feel good. I didn't have a car. He let me use his extra car whenever I needed it. Like, he knew what he was doing. Yeah. He knew what he was doing. He was older than me. I was, you know, we worked together at just like some random little smoothie shop, and he knew what he was doing, and he was planting all these seeds, and so eventually it led to, you know, something more, and I was entertaining it because I liked the way it made me feel. You know, I was filling a void, and so when I found out I was pregnant, I was like, holy
yeah.
shit. I need to get the hell out of here.
Pack my bags and run.
You know what? I'm not like, I don't want to, I know it's a sensitive topic now, but like I knew that I didn't want to abort. That was a personal thing.
It's your personal
no judgment,
decision.
yeah, to anybody
decision.
who,
absolutely,
right. You do what you have to do, but I just kind of knew I didn't want to do that. My aunt had gone through it, and I kind of saw like how it affected her, and it affects everyone differently, yes. And I just kind of knew that wasn't. So I was battling with keeping the baby or putting him up for adoption, and that was like a long process, obviously, in terms of deciding. I didn't even fully decide, I feel like, until it was like actually happening. I felt like we were going through the motions of the adoption when I was not even fully committed yet. And there's something that, like, I feel like I'm bashing on my mom a little bit, but this is a part of the
it's all
journey.
love.
She said to me, like dating after having a kid, like that's going to be hard. Like you're going to have a kid with you. It was like almost like she was saying, like she was kind of like saying without saying, like, you need to put him up for adoption. So I had that in my ear. I'm not saying she made me do it.
No,
it's just
how you felt.
Right. It was all the process of the things that were being said.
You're also a child during all this.
I was a child.
So
anyone I was 17. I was a child. I didn't know anything about love. I didn't know anything about anything. I thought I knew everything though. I was
yeah. I mean, you're
right.
just a girl. So.
Right. Exactly.
See, I'll bring that up.
Yeah, little full circle moment. So the decision to get there was pretty tough. All my feelings of, I'm pregnant, so obviously I'm hormonal. Like, I'm sick. I'm sick to myself with myself. I like the thoughts that you had. Like, there's a life. Like, I have to decide about a life. Like that, I'm 17 years old. I didn't even know where I would where I was going to college.
And honestly, it's a little different with us too, because this life you're growing. Mm-hmm. Like me, I'm there, right? Like, hey, what do you need? Let me know. Like your body's changing, your chemical makeup's changing. You're like, so I can't even imagine.
Yeah, that's something that I wasn't even really prepared for. I kind of was surprised with all that stuff because, I wasn't. So my mom went through it, growing up with her dad. And she had, talking about sex was, a sin in our house.
It's a scary conversation. You're having this conversation with your kid. That means you're, now you're opening the thought of, this can be a possibility for my child. And I don't want that for them, so I'm going to avoid it.
She did not. Yeah, so she didn't even touch on it. And that's something that, you as a young woman, you talk about it with your mom, but we couldn't. It was an untouchable topic. So obviously we confided in each other, but it wasn't like it was an open conversation in our family. So even when I had found out I was pregnant, my mom didn't even know I was having, sex. So it's like I had to go to her and I had to tell her that and that I was pregnant. Like, she didn't talk to me for days. It was dead silence. And that's the worst, when your mom is just silent. You're like, please yell at me. Something. Give me something. I actually felt sick. And I didn't want to obviously disappoint her. So I was going to her was a whole nother, that took me days. My sister had to help me do it. That was scary in itself. There were just so many emotions going on where it was I wouldn't have made it without my sisters. They kind of helped me move while I was numb and blacked out and what the hell is going on with my life? My life is over in a sense. And so yeah, my initial feelings were my life is over. But obviously it's not. And I'm still here.
Glad.
And
I'm so glad.
Sharing my story has been, I said it before, very healing for me. I needed it selfishly. And my book is helping other people in different types of ways. But initially it wasn't something that I would ever share with anybody. Like this, it took me 11 years to share my story. Like even living here in Pittsburgh, I think like maybe 2 people really knew like what had happened, only because somehow like, you know, I did make a really good friend eventually here. She's actually still my best friend like today. And I actually don't use best friend for any friends other than my sisters.
It's recorded.
So, yes. So she is definitely one of my best friends. She was my first friend in Pittsburgh, and she's still my best friend to today. And so she knew, and like maybe another person, but like I didn't. So when I published in 2022, which was not that long ago, that's kind of when I was like, oh hey, like this is a part of my story. It's not my story, like so. I'm not defined by this story. It's a part of my story. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, because I had a lot of people who didn't support my book that thought when I thought they would, like, which is crazy.
Why is that, if you don't mind me asking? What are the criticisms you received from the book? Because a book like this, I can see a lot of people not agreeing. You know, it's instead of seeing the book for what it is, your story and what you went through, a lot of people put their pain and their trauma and their thoughts behind your story. And that's something that baffles me. It's like, hey, this is my story, right? Like something I'm scared to share, but I'm doing it anyway in hopes that it brings something good out of someone. And what you see is a lot of bad feedback because they're like, oh, why would you do it? It's like, hey, that you didn't, this is what I went through. I'm not saying anything. This is what I went through. This is the book, what I went through. And then we have people who don't take it for what it is. And like, did you receive any criticism with the book? Or I just want to take a second to shout out a few companies who believed in me. You know, these were one of our first official sponsors, so huge shout out. Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Carbo Jewelers, established in 1997 on the values of honesty and integrity. Whether you're searching for the perfect piece, need expert repair services, visit Carbo Jewelers in Newark's Ironbound District, where your jewelry is always in safe hands. This episode is also brought to you by Continental Jewelers, proudly serving Hudson County, New Jersey since 1964. Whether you're seeking a timeless piece or need expert repairs, they've got you covered. Visit Continental Jewelers, your trusted source for all things jewelry. You can find them on Instagram at Carbo Jewelers or online at carbojewelers.com. Lastly, big shout out to Carbo Trading. Besides coins, precious metals, and jewelry, if it could be traded and collected, he's probably got it. They can be found on Instagram at carbo.trading. You can find all of our sponsors out online on our sponsor page at therelentlessproject.com.
So I wouldn't like, it wasn't like direct criticism. It was more like they didn't purchase it, or they didn't even like just support, you know, like weren't there for me. They didn't show up to my book launch.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah. And like there are people that I thought would, and there's actually no reason why some of them shouldn't have, but there were comments made where like they just didn't like see a need to purchase it. So like obviously that hurt.
For sure.
But I'm just like, okay, now it's a little bit different where it's like back then when I was publishing, I mean, not back then, I mean, it was literally like 3 years ago, but I was pretty like upset because like you said, like I'm here, I'm sharing this like with good intentions. Like I'm not sharing it. I don't need, you know, there were comments about how my face is on the book. And
your face is on the book about you? Yeah. Wow. Why would you selfish egotist, you put your face on your book? That's crazy.
Right. I know, it's wild. But I actually that wasn't my original like vision for the cover. This was like an accidental photo and it just seemed right. There's something, actually the photographer who took it said to me, he was like, there's like something in your eyes here that just makes you look like fearless. And I already knew that was the title of my book. And when he said that, I was like, oh shit, like maybe this is it. Because I knew it would come to me. We did like this random shoot before I even finished like the book, before I even started writing the book, really. I just had like blobs, like journals. We did a photo shoot and it was kind of like, almost like I needed to get inspired. So So he just did random. This was me laying in a waterfall. Like we were leaving, and he was like, "Wait, I got one more shot." And so he was like, lay in this waterfall, and like I was like, "Oh man, I just washed my hair."
It's a cool picture.
So, and, you know, if you're a girl, you know about washing your hair. It's like a whole thing. So I was like, oh, "Okay, fine." And so he took it, and then ended up, you know, long story short, it ended up being on the cover. But that was like, I don't like. Obviously, I like myself, but I'm not like a. Oh my God! Here's my face.
No,
like
I understand. I just don't get the criticism of your face on
my
a book about
yeah,
you.
Yeah.
It's not even your book. Like you're writing a fictional story. It's a book about
my
you,
story,
right?
yeah. And with all that being said, I had people support me who I didn't even think would support me. Like the love and that I received through publishing was healing in itself for me. You know, where it's like. Okay, maybe I should have done this.
But like, I never understood that. Like, you know, I have this podcast and I sell merch to try and support the podcast. And I have strangers that I'll meet and they'll be like, dude, you on the Relentless Project, man, love the show, love this. And I'm like, oh man, thank you so much. Like that means a lot. And then I'll have my friends and I'm like, oh dude, like I spoke to dude so-and-so and they're like, who's that? And I'm like, oh, he was on the podcast. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, damn, you didn't even listen to a little bit of it? Like, you don't even know. Like, I post it all the time. You don't even know who was on it. Like, at least be like, oh, that's the dude you had on the pod. And it's your closest friends. And you're like, any one of my friends launch something? Like, I don't even know you. And Faith was talking about you. I was like, dude, I'll buy her book. You know, I'll buy her book. You know, even if I don't read it, I'll buy her book. Like, it's a cool thing. It's a good thing. Like, she's in the circle. I'll buy her book, whatever it supports her anyway. You know, oh, let me talk to her about the book. It's like the least I can do. You know, it's like I don't understand. But then, like for merch, my shirt's like $25. I get like $5 from that. That goes to support the show. $5. You know, and
that's cheap.
I'll have friends who will be like, oh, you know, they buy a $100 T-shirt, $150 T-shirt from some brand that doesn't care about them or whatever. You won't pay $25 for this is a cool shirt. I think
it is a cool shirt.
You know, like you won't buy a shirt. Like
it is a cool shirt. Actually, I mean, I do have a question. What's the meaning behind the guns?
So
what's the story behind
the
logo?
Freedom Rifles.
Okay.
That's the rifles they used back in the day for the U.S. freedom.
Okay, love it.
No, I ain't gonna lie.
Cool.
I'm a big gun guy, and you know, the classic rifles and. You know, I'm all about when I talk freedom to express yourself, freedom to, you know, because oftentimes the podcasts I hear are either drama filled, right? Like get your moments, like, hey, boom. And then they put them on the spot. And now, like, that's the piece they post online because it creates views. Or podcasts where they really don't really talk about things serious and deep because of fear of being canceled or fear of receiving backlash. And there is. And I try to ride the line of, like, I obviously don't want someone to come on here and it'd be a negative effect, right? So I try to ride that line. So freedom to me is like, just tell your story. Like, everyone should have the ability to tell their story without receiving hate. Disagreement, you're going to have people who disagree with you. You're going to have people who don't necessarily like your story or don't agree with it. But, like, I never understood the hate, right? Like, if I see something on social media I don't like, you know what I do? Scroll.
I know.
Right?
Oh
like,
my gosh.
scroll, whether it's political, religious, whatever it is, all the hot topics, right? Like, I just scroll, you know, because one, if it's malintention, I want nothing to do with that. If it's good intention and I just don't agree with it, I don't agree with it. I'm going to scroll. Like, that video is for somebody, not me. So that's the Rifles and the Mike, obviously, podcast.
Right. It's cool. I like it.
And the Relentless Project. You know, we're all a project. We're all working on ourselves. Like,
never ending.
No one has it figured. Jocko, Goggins, all these people we look up to, like, they deal with stuff that necessarily they don't post. Everyone, and I say this almost every episode, we're all living life for the first time. We're all trying to figure it out as we go. Like, this isn't my second go around. You know, like, I was having a conversation with Dom Carter. He grew up with very young parents. That was the first time they were parents. And then he became a teenager. That's the first time they're parents to a teenager. You know, like we're all living life at the same time for the first time, and we're all doing it together. And instead of like trying to help each other, we like to bash each other and put each other down because now I don't feel down here because I put you down here. So now I feel a little bit better about myself. And I don't think that's the best way to go about life. I think if you try to build people up, you get built up. A rising tide lifts all ships, right? Like the more good you put out into the world, you're going to surround yourself. Good's going to happen to you. It's inevitable. It's law. You know, the more bad you put out, and then people wonder why their life is miserable and why they receive so much hate or so much criticism. It's like all you do is think negatively.
Oh, yeah.
How can you get anything good from thinking negatively? If you put the worst ingredients into a dish, the meal is going to suck. You're not going to get a juicy steak if you're putting in carrots and lettuce.
Right.
No offense to my vegetarians. I'm not a vegetable guy. But you know what I mean? Like if your end goal is a juicy steak, you want the best steak. You want the best seasoning. You want the best process to cook it. You want all good things to get this good product at the end. You can't half-ass the process and be like, man, why am I not getting the end result, the end goal? And that's in fitness too, right? I want to be healthier, but I'm going to eat McDonald's every day and I'm going to skip meals. I'm not going to hydrate. I'm not even going to work out. But why am I not healthy? Why do I have high blood pressure? Why can't I run a mile? It's like,
Well,
what do you mean? Why can't you? You're not doing the things required that pushes for that.
yeah. I always say what you put into something is what you get out of it. And like the negativity, like some people don't realize how powerful your mind is. And if you're constantly negative, like that's your life. Like that is your life. And there's absolutely no reason to go around bashing people and being negative about something. They're just trying to do good. You know, like I'm sharing my story because I want to help people. Like that's the end goal. And if somebody has something like, I don't hold grudges. Somebody once said like holding grudges like drinking poison and waiting for the other person to die. Like I'm not gonna, because you didn't support me, I'm gonna be upset. And you know, like it is
like
what it
sad,
is.
but
Yeah, it is sad and it's unfortunate and like it's a reflection of them really. So it's like,
and I always say this, if you have good intention and you mean well, in the end, it's gonna show.
you win.
You win. And you're going to go through a process. You know, people may not agree with you. People may try to, you know, attack you or whatever. But if you have good intention and mean well, in the end, it's going to show.
Right.
You know, like I always let people, you know, like let's say, I don't think this is it, but let's say you wrote this book because you're like, I want all the attention. I want everything on me. I'm
the middle child.
It's going to show, you know.
I do love some attention. Not going to lie.
Hey,
and I was a dancer. So like, I will like.
What type of dance did you do?
I did
like,
ballet contemporary. Those were my, yeah.
That's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
Do you still like dabble in it? I mean.
Not really, no.
She's like, no.
Sadly. I taught it for a while. It kind of like helped me, but no. I mean, that's like why I love the fitness industry so much. I'm able to put that even with cycling and just the one-on-one coaching that I do. It's like, it feels like that part of me. I miss it for sure, but I don't know. I don't dabble in that.
What advice, you know, you shared a little bit about, you know, making the decision that you made. What advice would you give young women who are listening and maybe going through that? And they're like, wow, man, like I'm going through that right now. You know, advice being, how would you approach your parents? How do you approach your friends? Because you've gone through it and you're on the other side of it. That was many years ago. So, you know, you're here, you're doing good things. You're living life on the other side, having gone through all that. What advice would you give women who are maybe going through it? Maybe not young women, just a woman who's like, man, my life is over now.
Forgive yourself, like be gentle with yourself. The first initial, at least for me, the first initial reaction was to just tear myself apart. I hold high standards for myself and even the people around me. And it's like, I'm so quick to just judge myself, you know? So I think if I was a little bit softer with myself, it would have maybe been easier to approach parents or just even share it. But I was pretty hard on myself, and I mean, we all are as humans, and it's like, it's just not like, that's not going to help, you know? And that's so much easier said than done, where it's like, you're going through a life-changing traumatic experience, but like, that would be my advice. Like, stop and step back. Stop thinking about what everyone else is going to think, because they're going to do and say whatever they want. Like, this is your life, and you have to live with yourself for the rest of your life. So like, be gentler, be kinder to yourself. Like, encourage yourself. We're so quick to just be so negative and tear ourselves apart, looking in the mirror, emotionally, whatever. Like, encourage yourself, you know? Like, obviously that's not like an encouraging moment, but like, there's a time where it's like, okay, I hit it, where it was like, this is your life, Jillian. Like, you need to take ownership, or else you're going to feel this way for the rest of your life. And I felt so bad for so long. And it's funny because I know everybody gets this, where they get those like Facebook memories from like years ago. Their
those
statuses.
are the worst, man. Can you not do that, Facebook?
It's crazy. I know. Well, I kind of like it. I'm not going to lie, because, well, some of them are super cringy, and I'm like, oh, that's so embarrassing. But I was going through it when I had Facebook, and when I was like, Facebook was like more popular. And I would write statuses about how I felt, like lyrics, whatever. And they were depressing as hell. Like, I was that type of person that just shared, and I was going through it. And even to this day, when a memory shows up and I see it, even around Mother's Day, I'm sure I'm going to get one tomorrow, because I was so depressed for so long, and just seeing how far I've come. And like, I used to get so sad around Mother's Day, and now it's like, it's not that I don't think about it, but it's just, it's like, it's a happier time for me. Like, I'm just more healed, where it's like, I think about him, and I love him, and I acknowledge that I am a mother. Like, it's just, it's so different now, years later. You know, he's 14. So it's like, I'm in a way different place in my life. So the Facebook statuses, they do me some good sometimes, because it's cool to look back a little bit. There's like, you know, the rear view mirror that you look in, but still moving forward.
That is a good way to, yeah, because like, yeah, you see where you were and where you are now, and you know, you're like, maybe it's like, oh wow, look how far I've come. Or maybe it's the other way, and you're like, man, I was doing so good there. Like, what happened? Like, it gives you a chance to check yourself and be like, do I need to change something? Or, man, I'm on the right path, I just got to keep going. I guess it is all right.
Checking myself is been a constant thing for the last few years, and you know, I have my sisters to help me. I'm
sure they don't shy away from that.
They do not. They do not. I actually, it's funny, because I most recently drove to Ohio for just a morning to have breakfast with two of my sisters, because I just like needed them, you know. And I like, that's just like proof that you're like never. I've like on a never-ending healing journey, and I'm constantly facing things that I never thought I would have to face. And like, I'm realizing things like later in life, you know, your sisters, they know your parents, they know what you've been through, and like, there's like a lot of childhood trauma that I have that I never even realized that I had, like even before I got pregnant. So it was like, before that, all this stuff is resurfacing now in my life, and even in my relationship, it shows up a little bit, and it's like, holy shit, Jillian, like, you need to get your shit together, because this isn't it. This isn't it. So, you know, I drove to see them for like 2 hours, you know, and it was like a therapy session with my two best friends while all their kids were running around.
Yeah. Hey, sometimes it'd be like that.
I was like having a moment, and I was crying, and like my little nephew comes up and was like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh my God, don't make me cry anymore.
Having gone through, you know, this book has, you said you've spoken to all kinds of people involved in the process. What did you learn about the adoptive process? That's not something I'm too familiar with. You know, we see posts online of like the adoption process. Like, what did you learn going through that process?
So mine was private, where it was like they hired an attorney and we just personally did it. So it wasn't like through an agency or anything. So I feel like it was a little smoother than it normally is, because I hear some crazy stories.
Same. It's like expensive.
Yeah. So all they had to do really obviously was pay for their lawyer and cover all like hospital expenses. And they were they were great through the process. They supported me in a lot of ways, and I think it was just like a good experience because of who they were and how it was, like it just being private. I would say I don't have any experience in terms of the agency, so it was kind of a good process for me where I didn't do much other than, I mean, I did grow a baby, but I grew a baby and I had to give up some coffee, so that was like traumatizing for me. But other than that, like legally, it was a pretty smooth process. Even after, when like bills would come, I would like literally send them to them and they would pay. Like it was like I didn't have to do anything but one thing.
And how was that process? Like, did you get to select the family? Like, I don't know how that
So works. It's so weird. I heard my oldest sister, Erica, she had worked with somebody who was dealing with a lot of infertility problems. And it had always been like a topic. I'd always hear her talking about it because she knew, they were friends, they worked together, whatever. And this was like before I was even like pregnant. And so I knew of her in that way. And when I started to entertain the idea of adoption, I asked her if they were still trying. And she had called her and was like, hey, like, I might have a baby for you. Essentially, that's pretty much, obviously she said it differently, but it was like, it was almost like it was meant to be, because she had just the night before, they had just like had another failed adoption where like they had tried to adopt many times and it just didn't work. Hence, I mean, what you said, the adoption process is clearly a struggle. And so after they tried for years to get pregnant, they tried to adopt for years. It fell through every time. The mom backed out, whatever it being. And so that's kind of how we were connected. And then I reached out and she said yes. And so I was like, all right, let me meet her. They were living in Texas at the time, and she flew out to meet me. And, like I said before, I was just going through the motions of the idea before actually saying yes. So that was the connection, was really my sister, my oldest sister. And it was a smooth process. They were great people, We went into it in terms of it being an open adoption. And I would get pictures. The first year I got pictures every 3 months. The second year I got every 6 months. And then the third year it was once a year. And then I got those up until, I think in 2021 they stopped, I want to say. It was more of like I think there's a lot of things that you go through as an adoptive parent that you probably, same, for me as a birth mom. I think she maybe started to get a little scared because she kind of like just cut it off, and I haven't heard from them since. But like that was my choice. I knew that was a risk,
a possibility.
Yeah, I'm not like, everyone's always like asking me about it and like, are you gonna take them to court? Like, no. I gave my son up, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, surely they're not holding up their end of the deal, but I'm not stressed about it. I know that he'll find me one day.
Is that something you hope for?
I do.
Even just I don't know how to ask the question. And I only ask this because we're in the future, right? Like, do you ever think and be like, man, maybe that wasn't the best decision? Or
oh yeah, I have thoughts all the time where it's like, what if that was the only kid that I ever have?
And I ask that because there are people right now going through that decision. What do I do? And I hope that through your story, people are like, maybe this is something I have to do, to give this baby the best chance at life. Or maybe it's, no, man, hearing her story, I think I want to stick with this. I want to, I'll figure it out. Yeah. Or maybe it's, I got to be more careful so I don't repeat what she did. So I you know what I mean? So like, yes. I'm hoping those are the conversations that people can take from this and go, man, and hearing her story, I think this is the best decision. Or, open up the dialogue of, hopefully people reach out to you. I don't know if that's something I know you like the mentor and you talk to these to women going through stuff. And I hope it opens up that channel of someone who feels alone maybe going, I can't talk to my parents, I can't talk to my friends, but let me talk to her and see, see what I should do or how I should approach this.
Yeah, it's a never-ending journey of like where I question myself. Like you're always gonna. I mean, like I said earlier, I'm very hard on myself, so I'm always gonna question myself. I don't regret my decision though at all, and I'm not saying once you make the decision you're like good. Like I'm like, all right, I'm good. Like I have those moments where his birthday, I'm like, oh, what's he doing?
Yeah, and
like I always think about him.
And those update pictures, like, how did that make you feel? Were you like, man, okay, he's doing good?
Yeah,
I'm glad.
The photos made me feel really good, actually. I miss them because I could, like, that's all I really want is just to know he's, like, happy and okay. So it's not like I'm, like obsessing over it, but it was nice. I do miss them. And it is what it is, Not like, I know he has a little brother. They adopted a second child. So he has a little brother, which is cool because obviously I'm a big sibling person. Siblings are great.
Yeah, and I think is there a resource for something like this where you don't want to go through the brutal adoption process, but is there have you learned throughout this journey, is there like a process, a resource where like mothers looking to give their baby to families in need, and then there's like family, like a portal. I'm envisioning like a portal of like family with headshots, their biography, what they do.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like agencies, but like not like a private.
I'm gonna say something
not like a private family. So there's a resource page that I found that it's called Brave Love, and they have a lot of good resources on their website. My book is actually on it, and they help people even just like thinking about the idea, and I'm sure they have connections in terms of families looking. So there's that, but I mean, other than agencies, I don't really know of any like private resources, which is if there aren't any, that's a great way to do it.
Someone please start it.
Yeah, exactly, right? So like, I mean, mine was word of mouth, which I just got lucky with. It was just a really good experience for me, even though it was hard. But yeah, none, just that one.
What goals do you have? Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years, both with your fitness journey, and is this book something you're still very a part of, or is it something that you put out there and you hope it does great and you're going about your life? Like, what are your goals? So
recently, I just started doing more with my book again. I kind of took a moment. I was leaning more. I'm a coach, a strength coach now. So I was really just building my clientele and leaning into that side of my life right now. So I did take a little bit of a break with it, but there's been a lot of like book opportunities that have come up recently. So I'm starting to feel more passionate about leaning into my book more. I did take a moment because like, do I need to? Should I? I don't know.
I think you should. I think this is something so sensitive that people don't like what you went through. You couldn't find a lot of resources. And this book kind of ties in everything together. From birth mom, the adoption process, adoptive parents, like, because I understand you have letters from family, you have letters from friends, you have letters from, like, this book has like, it encompasses the full circle process. So I think it's a good resource for someone going through that, or someone who, we get into the conversation of surrogate mothers who that is their goal, is to provide for a family who can't, because that's their way of giving back. Like, and it's a very sensitive topic. It's not something you talk over at a bar or at a dinner, or you're at an event and you're like, oh yeah, so it's like, because it's a very sensitive topic.
Right.
So this is a way for someone to like, who maybe has questions or maybe is looking to understand more, that where they can get a direct resource of like, oh, okay, I have someone's story, someone who went through it. Because I I'm friends and familiar with people who've been adopted and people who have adopted children, and everyone has a different story and have come about it a different way. But I've never really dove into like the actual process, what it takes, the feelings, so I think it's something you should keep pushing.
Yeah, so obviously sharing that was, I had my reasons, but with that being said, which is I know people who are adopted too, and actually just a couple of weeks ago, one of my clients, she was adopted, and it was her birthday, and she was telling me like, this is how cool it is that this is out there where like we connect over this because she was adopted and I gave my child up for adoption, so we connect in the adoption like connection.
Yeah.
I can't even speak, but she was like, she started crying and she was like, I'll start crying saying this because we both ended up tearing up because it was like, she's like, I just don't know what it is, but around my birthday, I get really sad and I think about my birth mom. And like that, it was healing in itself for me where it's like, oh my God, like it's not just me. Like obviously women are different and maybe she's just like having a moment, but like my son, like maybe he thinks about me. Like just that thought of like the possibility of him thinking about me like around his birthday is like, it's comforting, So like we connect over that. And like, it's just like, that's a moment for us to like speak about it because she doesn't talk about like being adopted all the time. She's with her adoptive parents and she doesn't want to be like always talking about it. She's just telling me like she doesn't want to be insensitive to her mom, like her adoptive mom.
Yeah,
where
I
it's
can
like she's thinking
that.
about her birth mom and like so like just in those moments where it's like she wasn't a birth mom, she was on the other end of it, but we still like have like this connection in this moment where it's like this is like why I did this, like this is the moment that matters.
Yeah, I never even thought of that either. It's a good way to connect, like, a child or an adult who is adopted, and they're like, hey, like you gave up your kid for adoption. Like, how do you feel? Like, should I try to look for my parents or should I not? Like, how would you feel if, like, that's a good way to connect that. And it's different. And I think we all long for that belonging, right? Like I have a friend who's adopted and he always asks like, man, like my mom didn't love me because you gave me up. Well, you loved your kid so much you gave him up. And it's like maybe just hearing that is that healing part for this person. And his adoptive parents actually passed away. So he's like, man, now maybe it's the opportunity to go look for him. He's 35.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, I'm like, if that's what you feel in your heart, do it.
Right.
And if she says, hey, I don't want anything to do with you,
you still did it. Yeah. You still did it.
You
Right.
apologize for, looking for her, and you say, hey, I needed this for my heart. Thank you for giving me the time. Yeah. Or it's the opposite. And, maybe she's going through something because maybe she's still thinking about it. And then you approach her at 35. I don't know how old she is, probably 50s, 60s. And then she's like, wow, I've been waiting for this day my whole life. And that's the beauty of life. Like, you
I've
don't
heard
know.
some crazy, like really awesome stories and also some bad ones. And my oldest sister actually made so when I had my baby, I spent the weekend with him. And I obviously share this in my book as well, where it's like, I spent Friday to Sunday with him. And through that, my oldest sister is a photographer. So she took like a ton of photos and she made like a little CD of like a photo of my family and then his adoptive family. Like, cause so he was in my room and then they put a separate room for the adoptive family room. And they had family drive in from New York all over. So there was a ton of them. I mean, not a ton, but like more than just them. So she took photos of them and she kind of like intertwined it in like this photo album. And it was kind of like the original agreement where when he started asking about me, like when he was old enough, like he would get that, like he would see that video and he would read a letter from me. And like, I don't know if they're going to hold up that end of the deal, but my sister made that. So in writing my book, I was like in my head, if he does Google my name, like this is what he's going to find. And it's like essentially a love letter to him.
Wow.
So.
I just got goosebumps. But yeah, I'm speechless now. I don't even know what to say. What in listening to this, someone listening to this, what is one message you want people to take away after this episode's done? They're, they shut off their radio, their iPod. That's not a thing anymore. But the
It might be.
yeah, it might come back.
I know someone who has an iPod.
Still?
Yeah.
Hey, classic, keeping it vintage. But in listening to this, they hear the story, they hear a conversation. What's one message you want people to take with them?
I think it still comes back to just forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace and like giving yourself time and time again. Like, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. You're going to make it. It doesn't matter how many times you fail. It doesn't matter how many setbacks you have. It doesn't matter how many moments you're like, I thought I was here, but not. I'm not. I'm all the way over here. Like, keep going. Keep trying. It doesn't matter how fast you go. Like, it doesn't matter if you're running, sprinting, crawling, freaking limping. Like, I've been there, Like, give yourself some grace. Take your time. It's not a competition. I know social media makes it like it's a freaking competition. Like, you're so behind. Like, they love to tell you that.
Yeah, you see a 21-year-old making millions of dollars talking into a mic.
Oh, God, about candy.
Yeah.
Like, it's some weird.
Yeah,
shit.
it's a highlight reel. It's people's best moments, curated moments. I talk about this on my social media, because sometimes I feel guilty, like having a podcast called The Relentless Project. People reach out to me and they're like, man, what should I do? And I try to give them the best advice from where I'm at, but one thing I promise is like, hey, dude, I don't have it all together. I'm still going through it. I'm still figuring it out. And that's the beauty of it, right? Like, we're all at different parts. We're all at different levels, at different stages. But I'm just pushing forward. That's the whole. Relentless doesn't mean you're done. You have figured out. Relentless means you're just not stopping.
Just like fearless.
Just like fearless.
Doesn't mean that you're without fear. Like, get uncomfortable. Face it.
Get comfortable.
Get your shit
Get your
together. Like,
shit together.
remember who you are. And like, if I'm going to speak directly to women, like, we are so hard on ourselves. And with social media nowadays, it's like you see all these like top ass like models. Like, if you're going to compare yourself and their edited ass photos, I'm going to go hard on it. But it's like you look at that and then you tear yourself apart. And like, what are you doing? Like, remember who you are. Like, you are your own person. You are you, and that is your superpower. And enough with the comparing. I know guys do it too. But I mentor mostly young women.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I have mentored some guys, I'm not going to lie. But young women, I hear it like from all my young women. They're so hard on themselves. And like, you have so much to offer. What are you doing? Yeah.
And coming around Mother's Day, I love the quote, and I think it started as I don't know how it began, but I'm just a girl, right? Because there's so much to I'm just a girl, right? Like,
it really is.
Like, there's so much that goes to being a woman, to like, me talking personally, like, women hold families together, households together, communities together. Like, women are the backbone. They say behind every strong man is a strong woman. And I think the most success you see is when there's a strong woman behind you, supporting you, pushing you. So that, like, I'm just a girl. Yeah, I'm just a girl. But you're not. Like, you're not. There's so much that goes to everyone, and remember who you are. Remember what you want to do. And claw and fight your way to get there.
And face your shit. Get healed because it will bleed into your relationships, your friendships, literally everything. Like, if one thing I've learned, get healed. Okay?
It's going to be the hashtag, get healed.
Seriously. Just do it because
we can't use just do it. Nike has that.
Oh, sure.
No, I'm kidding.
We don't want to get sued.
But no, for sure. Where can people find your book?
It's on Barnes & Noble website, Amazon, and then in person, it's in Fireside Bookshop in Sugar Land Falls, Ohio, where I am from. And then Postman in the Strip District here in Pittsburgh.
Cool. And where can people follow you if they want to learn more about you, follow your journey, follow your fitness, follow your maybe they have a question, or maybe maybe they want to reach out. Where can people follow you online?
My Instagram. That's where I'm most active. Jillian Scacchi. That's it.
Spelled like
Right
that.
there. Yep.
I always put the
Scacchi,
H
not
first.
sketchy.
Yeah. Sketchy.
Don't.
Man, that's real sketchy. No,
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, I actually love my last name.
It's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I do appreciate you for jumping on, sharing your story. This has been one of the more deep stories, more and very uncomfortable for me. So I appreciate that
Same.
for putting me in a difficult position, because I do think through having the hard conversations and putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, that's where growth happens, right? If you're comfortable, you're not growing. If you're growing, you're not going to be comfortable.
That's right.
So I do appreciate you for jumping out. Please follow the Relentless Project online, Relentless PRJCT on Instagram, YouTube, X. I don't use X, but it's on there. I had to save the name. And hear more stories of people like this. Like, this is what it's all about: creating a community, creating a network, and learning from each other, pushing each other. Yeah, so I appreciate you for jumping on. This is the one with Jillian Scacchi.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. And we're out. Later.